We are going to get this done by August 2nd.
Today on the Caucus, Jeff Zeleny on the latest from the stalled debt negotiations, and Monica Davey reports on the government shutdown in Minnesota, which provides a cautionary tale for Washington.
There is frankly resistance on my side to do anything on entitlements. There is strong resistance on the Republican side to do anything on revenues.
The negotiations over the debt ceiling really looked like they were coming to what could have been a rare moment of negotiation in Washington, with Speaker Boehner agreeing to work on a big framework with President Obama. That all came to an end late Saturday night when he said his support was just not there. All along, Speaker Boehner says he has been willing to make some type of a big agreement. He's willing to look at everything. Well, he seems to be standing alone on this. The House Republicans are not aligning with him at all. And in fact, they're being emboldened by what they're hearing from their Republican presidential candidates. Michelle Bachmann, first and foremost, is out there campaigning on the presidential campaign trail, saying that no deal, no compromise.
I will not vote to increase the debt ceiling.
A lot of House Republicans that we've spoken to said that they are taking their cue from her and from other candidates who are hearing sort of the will of the voters right now. So Speaker Boehner does not have support from his right flank. It's one of the reasons that he had to scale this back on Saturday night.
I think Speaker Boehner has been very sincere about trying to do something big. I think he'd like to do something big. His politics within his caucus are very difficult.
The challenges for President Obama come on his left flank. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says that her House Democrats just simply will not support anything that touches Medicare or touches Social Security. So it leaves both sides has had a bit of an impasse here. But President Obama is still urging congressional leaders to go big on this. He's calling for new tax reforms and other measures. He is still calling for some type of 10-year package that really would give Republicans a lot of what they're looking for. But it's unclear what support he has from his left, and it's unclear that any type of relationship he would have with Speaker Boehner would be able to work this through. So he is going to use the bully pulpit to try and make this case to the public that why this needs to happen, that why the tax cuts for the rich need to expire, and why new tax revenues are needed for this budget negotiations. But it's unclear which side will blink on this here in the next 2 weeks.
Monica Davey reports on the government shutdown in Minnesota, which is in its second week with no end in sight.
Before July 1st, before Minnesota actually went into shutdown, honestly, most people in Minnesota didn't think it would ever really happen. People thought they'll get all the way up to the edge and then they'll agree to something. They'll come out with an agreement in the last minute. In fact, they did meet into the night that night at the Capitol building, but nothing happened. What's happening in Minnesota really does shed some light on what we could see in Washington if this debt ceiling issue isn't worked out by August 2nd. In Minnesota, where it really shouldn't be terribly murky, it turns out that there's a lot to figure out. Having a shutdown turns out to be an entirely new operation of its own. You have to set up a court system, essentially, to hear exceptions. They've been hearing after hearing after hearing from groups that say, we're essential, count us in. I can only begin to imagine what it will look like in Washington when you have a far murkier situation with the debt ceiling. While you can't make too many comparisons in these sorts of situations, because obviously they're very different, the conflict essentially is the same in Minnesota. What you have there is divided government. You've got a Republican legislature for the first time in a number of decades in Minnesota, and they are insisting on reining in spending. And the one thing they don't want to do is raise taxes. And then you've got a Democratic governor, brand new governor, Mark Dayton, who is saying, the one thing I really want to do is raise taxes on the wealthiest Minnesotans. And that's the essential conflict that they can't get through. So you think in this crisis mode, that's when people work things out. But what I've seen in Minnesota is that actually they seemed closer together the day before the shutdown. There seems to be less room for compromise, less sense that any negotiations are really working out. It seems like the sides are actually more divided than they were before there was a shutdown.